Hi, Erin Frame here with Social Real Estate AZ. We're here with the Lowdown.
Lowdown.
And we're also here with PJ Wilkins, our special guest today.
Yep.
And he is doing his
Flip Tips.
Woo.
What's up, Flip Tip family? I got my special guest, Aaron and Ian.
That's right.
We're going to talk about Flip Tip stuff, and they started doing their own type of show 4 weeks ago. The Lowdown, how long ago?
This is episode 5.
Episode 5.
Oh, we have two-time over here. I'm not two-time today. We did two-time.
Episode 5.
Yes.
This is episode 70 for me.
Wow.
Right,
Yeah,
so
someday.
Doing it.
We're going to be sick of each other.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyways, what are we talking about today, y'all?
Well, we invited you to,
they did.
to interview, put you on the spot, and kind of pick your brain a little bit.
He doesn't know anything that we're talking about or any questions.
No.
It's all live.
We're just
all
winging
live.
it.
But, I wanted to start out by asking you some questions because I've had some people, come to me and say, hey, and you're a loan officer, you have good financial background, and you know what you're doing when it comes to loans. Why don't you have more real estate? Why don't you invest in real estate? Why don't you flip some homes, turn and burn, make a quick dollar, and just get into it? And my answer is no, absolutely not.
He's smart.
Yeah.
I may not necessarily be smart, but because there are some people very, very successful in flipping homes.
Yep.
You included,
Hey,
right?
we're trying.
Yes.
But here's my answer. My answer to people asking me, why don't you get involved in real estate? Why don't you flip homes? Make a quick dollar, make an easy buck. It ain't easy. Number one, it's not easy. And number two, I'm competing with a professional, right? And you're not the only one.
Wow.
There's a handful of people with cash, ready to go to that courthouse, buy that home for cash, negotiate cash, everything's dealing with in cash. Me, a newbie coming into the game, you guys look at me and you laugh, right? You see newbies come up to the courthouse, you're like, oh.
Well, I don't know about laugh anymore. Now they kind of tick me off these days.
Yeah?
Newbies, because in my opinion, newbies are the issue with flipping. It's like you just said, Ian, why don't you get in, make a quick buck, buy some real estate, like it's that flipping easy.
Right.
And that's the problem.
That's good. We said flipping
Right?
easy.
I can throw those in there.
Keep it up.
And I think that's the issue. People think that it's an easy thing. You just run down, you buy a house, you fix it up, and you sell it, and you make a bunch of money. I mean, that is literally what we hear a ton of, and it's just not true.
That scares me because as a person who could potentially buy a home and flip it if I wanted to, when I walk into the house, I would see, okay, yeah, I could put new carpet in, I could slap some paint on the wall, and I could, relist it and make some money. But I don't know the first thing about walking into a home and really finding out why it's priced so low and how much those repairs are going to cost. What's my profit going to be?
Exactly. I just on that note, like a couple times in the beginning when we started as partners or teammates, we went out and you were able to just look at a house and have it talk to you.
Yep.
By the way, he does that.
Gotta let the house talk to you.
The house has to, he needs silence while it happens, the Zen man. And then he can literally look and go 10,000, 5,000, 7,000. And I was like, excuse me? And then we started talking and he broke it down a little bit, like what a bathroom would cost, a kitchen would cost. So, there's a lot to it. But as you've done it as much as he has, he's able to call that out as we're somebody who's like maybe Ian would have really no idea, right? Especially that quick if you're going to try to buy a house on the at the courthouse. So
which is fixable, but so the next step of that is, maybe you don't know what you're doing, so you hire somebody that you think does know what they're doing, i.e. a contractor or somebody of that nature. And unless you know how to handle them or be able to tell if they are full of it or not, it's a whole nother screening process. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I got this contractor in here and he's going to do a great job for me. You know what I mean? And he's only going to charge me $30,000 and everything's going to be done. And you go back and your tile's crooked and you know what I mean? You got a gray wall and it was supposed to be brown, and then the whole argument starts with the contractor. And it just turns into a mess from there. It can turn into a mess from there.
Sure.
I've had a contractor that we've done probably 30 homes together, and we just parted ways because stuff started getting weird.
Mm-hmm.
You had some guys that were, I believe, stealing hours. Work wasn't getting done as efficiently as it was supposed to. Things were getting done the way I wanted them to get done. They were covering up stuff that they should never be covering up, and unless you are trained or know how to see that, or what to do in those situations, you're going to let it go.
Or just completely you're taking advantage of.
Or you're taking advantage of it, yeah.
And then it comes up in inspections, and it's just a mess.
It's just a mess. Yeah.
And every time that happens, the profit margin goes down, 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 right? And the name of the game with flipping, if I understand it right, is you gotta turn and burn. You gotta do it quick.
Quick,
right?
Absolutely.
Speed is the name of the game.
Speed is the name of the game.
And two-time right here.
Oh my gosh! Anyone who watches the Lowdown knows exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. We're repeating everything as Ian's saying.
That's usually my role.
I don't feel like you can hear him on
no.
the outside.
Oh, yeah, right.
But speed, efficiency, and not necessarily, you don't want it done cheaply, but you want it done within budget, right? And forgive me if I'm wrong, the market is incredibly volatile right now and strange. We're in a strange market, so that 2-3 years ago, 3 to 6 years ago, flipping a home, man, that was profitable, right?
Nice profits.
Talk about the profits right now.
I mean, now, so a few years ago, you could look at a deal and possibly make $30,000 to $40,000 on one deal, and whether, I don't really know what's happened, but actually I think I know what's happened. People that are losing their homes want more money for their home. So the two things that I used to say you have to control when you flip, and that's your buy price, the price you buy your house for, and your construction costs. Those two things are now out of control. People want more for their home. For instance, 2 weeks ago I made an offer on a home of $110,000. It's absolutely what it was worth, and that was my top number that I could, Well, the guy had two other offers at $130,000 and another offer at $140,000. That's $30,000 over what I offered him. That's someone's gonna get screwed.
Yeah.
I guarantee it, because if I could have paid that, I would have, because this is, our business. We need deals like that. But once I started seeing people paying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over what I was willing to pay, only to try and make a $15,000 to $20,000 margin, I'm going, this is getting scary. Things are starting to change.
And someone watching might think, man, I would love to make $10,000 to $15,000 margin on a flip. But that's where the problem comes in that you talked about earlier. Someone that doesn't do it professionally, $10,000 to $15,000 on a flip, that's not a really good profit margin when you're taking all that time and money, typically cash, and risk, right, into the transaction. Once you are thinking about a $10,000 profit margin on a flip, that's not a good thing.
No. Well, I would say I would take $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 margin on a flip if that's what the number was when all the dust settles. But that's never the number anymore when all the dust settles. You know what I mean? There's closing costs. There's a Benzer list, which, by the way, it's getting really ridiculous how, you used to walk into a flipped home and everyone loved to see the colors you picked and the tile and the blah, blah, blah. And now people are walking in with their 5 construction people that they've never paid a dime to, but they're trusted. And they walk in with a magnifying glass and they just start picking homes apart. And I get it on the one hand because people are out there doing bad work. So I totally understand that. But on the other hand, we're guys like me and a couple of other people that do good work. I mean, it's just an unnecessary fight. And as soon as their contractor says, hey, this is wrong, and then I go back and say, no, it's not, they're lying, I'm now the bad guy, they're the good guy, and it just gets really super weird from there. So it's just really tough.
So what direction is this pushing you right now as doing all your flips? I mean, I know that you've tried to incorporate more traditional type real estate.
Yeah, so that last year we did close to 30. This year we've just scaled way, way back. And I'm only doing deals that look like home runs. I mean, before, if there was a $20,000 profit margin at the end of a deal, I would probably do the deal. And I probably still would, depending on what price range the house was in and where I bought the house for. But if I'm over 200,000, 250,000, and there's only 20 grand, profit, I can't do it anymore because, one, if it sits too long, the interest is going to kill me. You know, I mean, you're paying
There's the risk.
$1,500 to $2,000 a month interest. You know, the whole turn and burn thing. If you don't turn and burn that thing, you're done. I just closed a deal 3 weeks ago. We took a huge loss because I held it for 9 months. $250,000 at 12% interest for 9 months. Done. That deal had $20,000 on the end of it, and I lost a bunch of money.
It did.
So I mean, it did, right?
Yeah,
but
crazy.
you know, it didn't sell for the price that we thought. And that's the other thing, pushing the market. No, you can't do that anymore. You know, you really got to look at the solds and and then base your numbers off of there. See, before we could go, oh, we could do this and add a little bit of this, and you know, bump it up $5,000-10,000. Now, I don't think you can do that because everybody's pushed it so far that stuff is just sitting. You know, I got 2 houses at $160,000 that are sitting right now in this low inventory market. I mean,
That's
why is that?
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Right. So I think the lesson here is when you think real estate's easy money, when you think buying and flipping homes is
If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Sorry.
Really it is. And it's a skill, just like anything else. Like you can't just, because you went to a seminar and sat for an hour and somebody took you for $40,000, you're not an expert right now.
Right.
I mean, you're just not.
Not that you shouldn't try new things and try to learn and all of that, but just heed the warning of somebody who's been there, and listen, because there's a lot to learn.
What I'm telling people nowadays is flipping is partner up. Partner up with a guy like me. Partner up with somebody that's done it, that knows the ins and outs, because otherwise, you will get taken. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
So we need to, the lowdown here is,
Ooh, I like that.
yeah.
He loves that
Just
name.
be, I love saying it. It's pretty good, right?
The lowdown. Yeah, what is the lowdown
Well,
here?
here's the lowdown. Partner up.
Partner up. That's also the flip tip.
Lowdown.
The lowdown.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh,
Partner up.
that's
Give us
good.
somebody that knows what the heck they're doing
Yep.
in that world, because, I mean, it's just...
Just like when you find a lender and a realtor.
Exactly.
Partner up.
Partner up.
Wait,
Triple.
3 times.
Triple
Partner
up.
up.
3 times, partner up. Okay, we're crazy. So yeah, so that was good. Anything else you want to add?
No.
No.
We got some new houses coming up to show y'all. Next week, I think, we should have one done.
We had a question
And,
come in.
Oh.
Do we use a regular contractor for all of our work?
Definitely starting to use a licensed contractor now because of all the stuff that's coming up. I mean, people are just like pounding that. We want a licensed contract, which can I add real quick? Doesn't mean a whole lot, because I have a licensed construction company, and it's just a feel good for people, because if someone wants to screw you, they can. And and the ROC only insures a contractor up to $30,000. So if someone takes you for $100,000, you can only go after through the ROC, which is what their license is under, for $30,000. So
Yeah.
I would take someone that knows what the heck they're doing, you know, all day, versus someone just because they had a license. Yeah.
And it probably depends on the scope of the work too, right?
Yes.
The larger the job, you may or may not want a licensed contractor to do. If it's a really small job, maybe do
Well,
it
it's
yourself.
just the stuff you need permits for. But anymore, I'm definitely going to start working with licensed people. It just seems cleaner.
Okay. Well, there's another.
So
one.
we're looking.
We're looking. We're looking.
By the way.
Is that why that question came in? Was it an inquiring mind?
Possibly. You never know.
Want to.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All
cool.
right.
Thank y'all for hanging out.
Yeah. All right.
thanks
so
for the
we'll see
love.
you next week.
On the
week.
lowdown.
Lowdown and
Flip tips.
All right.
Flip tipping.
Bye.
Bye.